Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. For this tutorial, I'm going to show you something a little bit different. This time we're going to do a sculpted cake. I haven't shown you very many of these, if any, so it's high time. And this was for an order for my friend at the bakery. And the surprise on this cake is everything is edible. I know you won't believe it, but everything is edible. So let's get right to how we made this. I am starting with 4 layers of cake. There is a 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch, and 9-inch. And what I'm doing is I am stacking them up just to make sure that they are going to work well together, and they do. Because what we're doing is a tapered cone shape. I'm just leveling the tops off of all of the cakes because I'm going to simple syrup them as we go. And then I need to cut this board down to size because this is one of the tricks on how to get level, even sides when you have a tapered shape, is to have a board on the top and a board on the bottom that are the exact same size as the cake. I'm just turned it upside down to take that very bottom ridge off of the bottom. And just use a serrated knife to do this. And don't take too much, take less at a time and take more when you need to. It's easier to take more than to try to add back on. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to just match up the top edge to the bottom edge and cut them level. So you're removing any bulk from in between and you have nice, smooth, straight sides. And that is our goal here. And yes, at this point, I don't even have it filled. I find it easier to do this if you fill it after you have cut off the excess cake. And then I did a little thin layer of buttercream. And then I'm using edible cookie dough chunks and then filling in with the buttercream to fill any holes that you might have. You could do a whole disc of it if you want to, but I find that is a little bit more difficult. And really, you're still gonna get plenty of the cookie dough in each bite. And I do have a thickened dam of buttercream in between each, on the outside of the filling to keep it from bulging. A lot of times on a sculpted cake, I would prefer to use a ganache. It's a little more sturdy, but since this is more of a basic shape, the buttercream is gonna be just fine. We're not dealing with all kinds of angles. It's just a tapered cut. And then I'm just using the excess buttercream to do a crumb coat, and then I will put it in the refrigerator for a good half hour to let it firm up. Now, this doesn't have to be perfect. You're just basically locking the crumbs in. Especially when you carve a cake, you're gonna have a tendency to have more crumbs. So don't skip on the crumb coating part. That's a must. And then once it was firmed up, I took it out of the refrigerator and I turned it upside down. I don't know, upside down and right side up are subjective at this point. And we're doing a nice smooth final coat of buttercream that we're gonna have fondant on top. And that went back into the refrigerator to chill. And I'm gonna show you now how I made the edible popcorn. This is just fondant, guys. Fondant and a silicone mold. Here's our mold. And some luster dust, some petal dust. I'm sorry, not luster dust, but petal dust. Now, if you do purchase a silicone mold, you're gonna wanna dust it real good with some cornstarch and tap out the excess. And then I'm just taking little balls of fondant, and they're larger. This is the trick that I found, how to make this look more realistic, is they are actually larger than the mold itself, and we're just kind of pulling the excess up into a little mound. And we're gonna use that to get the realistic popcorn look. And what I'm using is just a ball tool, and I'm just poking them straight down the middle. And then raise those sides up a little bit, and what that's doing, it's creating that popped look. And then just release them from the mold. You could add Tylose to this fondant if you want to, but I didn't find it was necessary this time. And then I'm just using some yellow. It's like a gold yellow, a brighter yellow, and a brown. And I'm doing the brown and the gold color in the middle to get it that popped look. And then I'm dusting I dusted the outside a little bit with the brighter yellow to give it that popcorn butter look. Now I did a bunch of that, and you could actually make it without a mold. You just roll a ball. I should have shown how to do that. I'm sorry. But just roll a ball. Use your fingers to taper the end so that it kind of comes out the top a little bit. If you can picture what I'm saying, rub your fingers together with the fondant in there. Kind of start at cone shape, kind of. And then use your ball tool to poke in what comes out the top. And at some point, I should probably show you how to do that. I'm sorry I didn't show you that, but this mold is very cheap and you can find it easily. And this, I rolled out some strips of red and one solid piece of red. And this is an edible image that we found online that we just printed out. I'm just cutting it down, and then I'm going to attach it to the other piece of red fondant with some piping gel. We like to back our fondant decorations. That way, with condensation from the fridge doesn't really affect it. You don't get those, the wrinkling that you can sometimes get with an edible image that you have not backed. And I left a little edge around that so that it looks more official or more real. And then we're gonna just roll out our white fondant. Any fondant will work. This is one of the easiest shapes to cover in fondant because you're not trying to taper in the bottom like on a ball. You just basically drape it over and then just kind of pat it down. And just make sure that your piece is big enough. Just take the measurement from the top, side to side, and then the sides. Add those all together, and that's how big you need your fondant piece to be. And then I sprayed some water to attach it. You could use shortening. You could use simple syrup if you want to. I just kind of use what I have handy, and it depends on what I'm doing. To cover a cake like this, I wanted something a little bit more, a little sticky, I guess is the word I'm using, than shortening, because gravity. When we turn it back up right side, I didn't want the fondant falling off. It probably wouldn't, but just to be on the safe side, I went ahead and just used water. And we're just smoothing it down, trying to remove any air bubbles. And you can poke it. Sorry about the fuzziness here. It went out of focus, but what I did was I just cut off that bottom piece. Now I'm attaching the finishing board to the bottom before I flip it up. And I had left a little ridge of fondant. I didn't cut it straight down to the cake so that I could wrap it around the top. Then we're gonna roll out some logs of fondant to finish the top edge and around the bottom. And I'm also doing a wrap on the cake board itself. I do like to do that. I don't always do that for orders because, you know, it's extra product and my boss doesn't find it necessary. I personally like the look better. It's fine without it, but I like the look of the board being covered. I feel like just personally that it looks a little more finished. And I just put a little shortening on the board to get it to attach, and you'll see that I did like a horseshoe shape of fondant and rolled it out that way, and that way it wraps around your cake better. And I'm attaching these strips with just some shortening. I did do just shortening for these since they're just strips and not a full coverage. And I will say, the technique for wrapping your board is not my idea. That is from Tracy at Little Cherry Cake Company. She's the one that came up with that. I suggest you go watch her videos also. She's very good cake designer. Seems to be a very fun person. And then I attached the logo, the popcorn logo, with some water. I wanted it to stick a little bit better. And here is where we're rolling our logs for the top edge and around the bottom. And I did attach that with water also. I like to use a fondant smoother to roll my logs. It seems to prevent your fingered indentations a little bit. Start with your hands, but then go back with your fondant smoother and kind of smooth it out with just a little rolling motion and a little bit of pressure. And I cut it down to size. Always leave a little bit of extra length when you are wrapping a cake. That way you're not trying to get it to stretch. You can cut off the excess. And then I just wrapped around the top and I just messed with it. I didn't show all of the footage of me messing with it and getting it in place and making sure that it's stuck, but because that would be boring. But just mess with it, and as the fondant sits stuck together, there's more, it adheres to itself a little bit. So just kind of play with it until it just kind of stays in place. And then I just filled in the top with buttercream. I just made a little bit of a dome shape, and I'm just gonna place the popcorn right on top of that. And if you're using a crusting American buttercream, put your popcorn on before it crusts over. If that does not happen and you do have to put the popcorn on a crusted buttercream, just spray it with a little bit of water lightly to get the popcorn to stick. And just place your popcorns all over the place. Get a full covering on top. Like I said, it's a lot of popcorn, so it takes a little time to do that. And I wanted it to look like a little of the popcorn had fallen out of the bag or out of the container and around the board. And I just finished it off with a ribbon that I attached with some double-sided tape. So there it is, all done, guys. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you would like to see more videos like this. And I hope you can use this. Catch you next time. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video. And if you'd like to watch some other videos, go ahead and click on the link to one of these other videos shown here. And if you would like to check out my other social media, I am on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Sophisticakes by Mary. And please take the time to share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload another video. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next tutorial.